Welcome to Yoga Hour, to the space to share practice together. The word of the day is leaven. I read a social media post from Elizabeth Lesser this week. She's an author, some great work. And she said a friend had recently sent her a picture of Greta Thunberg and Malala together and said, wow, aren't these wonderful kick-ass women? And she said, you know, I get the meaning of saying women as kick-ass, but I want a little something more. And she settled on the word leaven. They make us all rise. And the definition of leaven, a substance, typically yeast, that is used in dough to make it rise. We know this, right? But then the second part of what the dictionary says about leaven is a pervasive influence that modifies something or transforms it for the better. My sticky mat is absolutely the place that I come to day in, day out to see that transformation for the better. As you find your seat here, close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in to all the ways that this mat, this practice, being surrounded with one another, let us rise, be leaven. Fill up, inhale, belly breath into the ribs, into the top of your chest. Exhale out, top of the chest, through the ribs, back down to the belly. Do this a couple of times. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Nod your chin down to the chest. Our typical opening movements here, just rock the head a little bit side to side. Right ear to right shoulder, left ear to left shoulder. Let all the little creakies find their way out. Notice what feels tight, what feels already a little open and accessible. Keep the chin down to the chest. Take both hands behind your head and just gently press your head into the hands. Find the light stretch from the top of the spine leading down to your tailbone here. Familiar pulling in of navel towards the spine to create strengthening on the front side. And then release the hands, lift the chin, open the eyes, and let's get moving. Come on over to all fours. Hands under the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Do cat and cow. Just open up with some rocking here, forward and back. Create as much of a difference from one end of the pose to the next as you can. Feel free to wag a little bit side to side. Stay in one position longer than the other. Noticing the spaces, the nooks, the crannies of your body. Keep doing this a little bit longer. And then change to downward facing dog. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips all the way up and back. In down dog, pedal out your feet a little bit. Just like in cat and cow. Search out all the nooks and crannies. The ways to open and move that will feel best to you right here, right now. Start with what we've got. Find stillness in this outer form now. Give it a few breaths. And then lower your knees down to the yoga mat. Turn your hands around so your fingers face towards the knees or out to the side. Nice strengthening work for the wrist and forearms here. Lift the right leg up and back in line with your spine. Flex the foot, turn the toes to point down to the floor. Try to keep the hips like this, square to the mat. Point the foot again and give the leg a sway over to the left, tap it down, and then come back to the middle. We'll do this a couple of times, like a tiger tail, swinging over, tap, and lift, swing, tap, and lift. Lower the right leg down, give it a go with the second side, left leg up and back. To find the alignment first, flex the foot, point the toes down, square off the hips. Reach through the arms, so chest full, chin lifted. And then point the toe, lift a little bit higher, swing and tap. Lift, swing and tap. Lift. One more time, swing and tap. And lift. Lower the foot. Turn your hands around, sit back on your heels, interlace the hands, flip the palms, lift the arms up to the sky. So sitting in thunderbolt with this big, full, proud lift, rise through fingers, thumbs. Release the hands, take them to interlace behind your back now. Squeeze the elbows in, round the head down to the mat. Lift the arms up to the sky. And you might realize at this point, holding that closed grip of the hands doesn't work. The hands could come apart. Do the best here. And then round the back a little bit more so the head is not on the mat, but instead trying to reach towards the knees or thighs. Finally, release it all. Come back upright. Stretch back to downward facing dog. On an inhale, come forward to plank. Your option here, toes or knees in the plank. Hold a steady long plank or add push-ups down and up. And we're going for tricep push-ups today here. Hug the elbows close in to the side. Hands just underneath the line of the shoulders. Tone in the abdomen. Keep looking a little bit forward. Maybe up to 10 push-ups. And then press all the way back to downward facing dog. Step your right foot in between the hands for low lunge. Bring the hands all the way up to your front thigh. And then wherever you are, pull the back heel more forward and lift the back thigh 2 inches higher up so it makes your butt stick out a little bit more. And add a twist, left elbow to the outside of your right thigh, either hooked or hovering, you choose. Breathe, find the twist. And then untwist, set the hands back down, step all the way back to downward facing dog. Give it a go on the second side, so we'll step the left foot forward. Hands up to the front thigh. Same work. Pull the back heel forward so it's right over the toes, a really strong engaged back foot, and engage the leg by lifting the thigh a little bit more. Stick your sit bones back and wide. Use that space in the back side of the body to give you room for the twist. Right elbow to the outside of the left thigh. Press the hands more towards the center, left elbow straight up towards the sky. Look wherever you want. And then untwist. Step back to plank pose, step back to plank pose, and lower flat down to your yoga mat. Let's knock out some belly down back bends here. Hands behind you. Inhale, lift up, rise, rise, rise. Keep going. Exhale, lower it down, turn one cheek to the mat. Give yourself a moment. We can only rise if we have the appropriate rest and patience. And then you go to the second side. For the second time around, bend the knees, inner edges of the feet together, reach the hands back again, and lift everything that you can. Keep squeezing inner edges of the feet and try to lift them a little bit higher to give you the extra bit of lift. And then lower it down and change left cheek to the mat. Push it all the way back to child's pose, to downward facing dog. And then walk your hands back to your feet. So with a nice bend in the knees, walk the hands back. Like we did sitting on our heels here, again, try to interlace the hands behind your back. Squeeze the heel of the hand together to squeeze the elbows in as well. And then again, how straight can the arms go? And let them go overhead here. Round the back a bit more, find power in the belly, and think again, head towards the knees or thighs rather than further towards the shins. One more breath like this. Release the hands, stand all the way up, reach the arms to the sky. Take the left hand, hold on to your right wrist, get taller first, and then lean to your side. As you lean to the side, press the hips away from you. Come back to the center and do this to the second side. Hold on to the other wrist, get taller first, and then lean. Squeeze the glutes, press down into the feet, push the hips away. Beautifully done. Come back to the center. Exhale, forward fold. Walk it out to downward dog. Lift your right leg up into the air, three-legged dog. And step all the way to the front of your yoga mat into a low lunge. Straighten and bend a couple of times here, just kind of working in. Find the room. And then change to warrior two. So right knee bends right over the line of the ankle, spin the back heel down. Press through the outer edge of the back foot. As you rise up, shoulders stack right over the line of the hips. Gaze out over your front fingertips. Broaden the front knee more towards the pinky toe side of your foot. Stay with your breath. Lower both hands down either side of the front foot. Step back to plank. Hold plank or add in one push-up, down and up. Go back to downward facing dog. Lift the left leg high, three-legged dog. Step it all the way through. Again, that little dynamic stretch, just move a little bit forward and back. Kind of lubing, oiling the body a bit. No wrong way to do this. Spin the back heel down. Line up about heel to heel. Back toes straight ahead. Push through the back foot to cartwheel the arms and torso upright. As always, shoulders right over the line of our hips. We want to find an equal balance of making the inner thighs push back, while from the top of the seat down to the tailbone, you're pulling down. So you end up pretty neutral right into the center of the torso. Gaze out over the front fingers if not already. Take in the power, the fullness of this pose. Never gets old to me. And then lower both hands, again, either side of the front foot. Step back to plank. Add the push-up to downward facing dog. One more round similar to this. Lift the right leg high. Step the foot all the way through. This time, warrior one. Bend the back heel down. Rotate the back toes in so they face the corner, left corner of the mat. Hands to the waist can help us. Push a lot through the back leg. As you rise up, tailbone down to the floor, shoulders head straight up to the sky. Lift the arms. Rebend a bit into the front knee. Push through your front big toe, the outer edge of your left heel. Look straight ahead or up. Virabhadrasana, Eka, warrior one. Seeing these standard, let's say, standing poses, full, all on their own today. Lower the hands down, either side of the front foot. Step back to plank. Hold your plank or add your push-up. Go to downward facing dog. Lift the left leg high, three-legged dog. Step it all the way through. Again, spin the back heel down. So most traditional alignment is actually heel to the middle of the back foot. I often do that heel to heel just to give a little bit more space, makes balance easier. Anatomically, as wide as our hips, can feel a little more accessible. Arms up to the sky here. Lots of steadiness in the push of the right leg down and a little bit of softening into the front thigh to go deeper into the pose. Keep reaching up, one more breath like this. And then lower the hands down. We find ourselves in plank. Add the push-up to downward facing dog. Bend your knees and walk your hands backwards to your feet. From the end of the mat, take hands to the hips, point the elbows to the sky, push down into your feet and come all the way upright to standing. Good. Take your gaze towards the front of the mat. Step halfway up. Little bend in both knees. And then keeping the bend in the front leg, hinge forward. Think of that very first lunge where we lifted up on the back heel and stuck our butt out. Same work, but now lift your left leg off of the ground. Keep the hips as square as you can. Reach both arms out in front. Warrior three. Swing the arms back behind you, palms up to the sky, elevated or levitating. Shalabhasana. And then step back, left foot down, 2 feet together. Keep in your flow, eyes forward, bend in both knees, step the left foot forward, a little bit of a bounce, like I'm ready to take off in a sprint. Then again, hinge forward. Lift the back heel. It just gets lighter on that back leg right away. Push the butt out. And lift the right leg high. Now your left hip might want to lean over towards the side. Your job is to pull it back, square it off. Reach the arms out in front of you. Balance isn't always steady. We fall off. We come back to it. Rise through our mistakes too, right? That's how we learn. Reach the arms back behind you, palms up to the sky. Stay with it. All right, step it all the way back. 2 feet together at the end of the sticky mat. Lift your arms up to the sky. Don't overthink this one. Right foot onto the left leg, tree pose. 4 breaths right here, tree pose. Foot at the thigh, foot at the calf. Doesn't matter. And then right into eagle pose. Cross the right leg over the left. Right arm under the left. Hold on to your shoulders or the back or front of the hands. More challenging with each change. Shoulders, back of the hands or front. Right foot down to the ground. Unwind your arms, lift them up to the sky. Keep the hands here. Try tree pose without the extra help of placing foot with the hands. Left leg onto the right leg. Again, just find your space. Take some breaths. Change to eagle pose. Cross the left leg over, bend the right knee. Left arm under. For ease, hold on to the shoulders. A little more, back of the hands, a little more front of the hands. Same thing in the leg. Can you squeeze the left outer edge of the foot to the calf or behind the calf? And then unwrap the legs, unwrap the arms, lift them up to the sky. Gaze again to the front end of your sticky mat and take the right foot, giant step forward into your low lunge. Back knee down to the ground. But keep lifting the arms up. Energy of the body up, up, up. Even as the foundation in the legs gets more solid, low and down. Something cements down so something else can lift up. Take the hands on either side of the front foot, step it all the way back to downward facing dog. Bend your knees, walk the hands backwards to your feet. Always a nice rooting of the top of the thigh bone into the hip socket there. And then stand again. Lift the arms up overhead. Gaze towards the front of your mat. See where you're going. Little bend in the knees. As lightly as you can, step forward, left foot, big step. And then walk it out. Slowly descend right knee to the ground. Keep the lift, the openness in the top of the body as you feel a solid cementing in the legs. Lower the hands around the front foot. Again, step back, downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet here a moment. Let's go back, right leg high, 3-legged dog. Pull the knee into the chest and hover forward and plank. Keep it here, hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then step the right foot all the way through to your low lunge. We'll walk it around to a wide-legged forward fold to walk the hands towards the center, long edge of your mat. Fingertips towards the line of your feet. Send your head down towards the yoga mat. It's fine to have some bend in the knees here. More than fine, it's good to allow a little bit of more spaciousness across the low back. Ease, take the strain out of the hamstrings. As works, the legs go straighter. Send your weight more into your toes rather than in the heels, the straighter the legs are. And then look back towards your front foot, your right side. As you walk your hands back to the right side, pick up your toes and turn the foot out. Again, the knee might be bent, the leg might be straight, but keep the right fingertips on the floor right along the line of the ankle. For triangle pose here, we go for as straight of a right leg today as works, with the right hand still down. And then left hand at the left front of the hip. Can that rotate a little more towards the side? As you rotate the hip more open to the side, let the chest go with you. Maybe look up and stretch the left arm to the sky. Your best triangle pose with fingertips on the ground. Take the left hand back to the waist. Now turn the hip down towards the floor. As you do that, remember those warrior one legs? You got to turn the back toes in. It's going to take a little fudging as we move here. And switch your hands. Take the left hand down, the right hand to your waist. I like to slip my right thumb into the crease of the right hip and try to ever so gently pull it up and back, create a little bit of space there. Bottom fingertips, they can stay on the big toe side or flip them over to the pinky toe side of your foot. Let's go for our turned triangle pose. Right arm up to the sky. In this version, of course, still the front leg might be bent today because we are aiming our hand all the way down to the floor. Sometimes you give up on a little bit of something to find something different, to transform. Both hands to your waist here. I want you to come all the way upright. Little bend in the knees and step forward. Shake out the legs for a moment. Inhale to get to our second side. Lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Left foot forward, step your right foot back. Walk around to your center. Again, that wide-legged forward fold. Fingertips in between the feet or hold on to your ankles. The more that you reach your head down towards the mat, remember, still weight more forward in your feet rather than back. Prasarita Padottanasana, your wide-legged forward fold here. Give it a couple more breaths. Gaze back over towards your left foot. Walk it out to your low lunge. And then back heel in. Regular triangle pose first, so left hand, fingertips just to the inside of the foot. Maybe not a fully straight leg. You're working with what we've got today. Right hand to the waist, pull it up and around. Right hand to the sky. So if this triangle feels a little different than it might normally, it's supposed to. Trying out a different entry point. And switch the hands as you place right hand down. Turn the back toes in more sharply. Try to get the whole of the back foot to stay on the ground. Choose big toe or pinky toe side. Slide the left thumb into the crease of the left hip. And try to get some space to lift up and back. And that's really usually my concentration point. Like, where can I get just a little bit more room, lengthen the spine, and then the twist is bonus. Left arm to the sky, tone and turn. Add the twist as much as works. To come out of this side, place both hands back down, go into your full low lunge. And try to pull left heel in towards your belly so that you're hovering in that knee up position, plank pose. Hover, hover, hover. Shoot the leg back to plank. Lower your knees, separate them as wide as your mat. Sit back in child's pose. About halfway through, give yourself a moment, a couple of breaths. Open up the mouth, breathe out. As you're ready, come back upright and right foot forward into that low lunge. We're going into twisted monkey pose. Heel toe your right foot over to the side. Turn the toes so they're off of your mat, heel on the mat. And then place the left hand on the other side. I've got a good amount of weight on that left arm, which makes it easier to add the quad stretch here. Left heel towards your seat. If I want to go even further over towards the left side, I keep getting a little bit more room to make it easier to reach back and hold on to the back foot. If you've got the hold of the back foot, can you also make your heel and butt touch? Now it's hard to get your heel to come forward, but it's much less hard to get the butt to go up and back. So I make that connection. And then keeping that, they come down and forward together as much as possible. Head of the right shoulder, your top shoulder, turn it up towards the sky. And then can you give a little bend in the left elbow, that bottom hand, to slide the whole chest a little bit more back, meaning you can look up towards the sky easier. And then give it an easy release here. Slow, slow, slow. Come around to all fours. And second side, step the left foot forward, heel toe the left foot all the way over to the side of the mat. Turn the toe, knee, hip out, all about 30 degrees. And the right hand is all the way over on the right edge or even off of the mat. I like to take my hand off of the mat and really get it pretty far away from that front leg. Then pull the back heel in. You can stop right here. Work with the breath, work with the pose. Or again, look over your back shoulder and then like a rainbow, take the left arm all the way around to get there. To make the heel and butt touch, it's easier again to lift the butt rather than trying to pull the heel in, and then as a unit you go back forward. It's easy to get stuck in that bottom arm because it's taking on some weight. Try to bend the elbow, get the right shoulder out of the way so you can do that extra revolution in the torso. Rise a little bit more. We are Leaven. And then slow release. Walk it all the way back around to all fours. A little cat and cow in the mix here. Okay, from here, down dog. So we can take a pretty big transition into pigeon pose, but I mean big by lift your right leg up into the air first, three-legged dog. As high as you can, get space, space, space. And then I pull the knee in towards the elbow and set the right knee down behind the right wrist. Heel towards the left hip. So left knee goes down and I bring the hip to the heel. Down to the forearms and sleeping pigeon. Once you're here, give it a little pause, so kind of big dramatic entry, and then pause, just be. Lift back up to the hands. As you lift the torso, bring your back knee in at least a couple of inches, like closer to the front foot. So it makes your hips lift up, gives us a little bit more activity and strength in the upper body to work with. And then again, we're gonna add in the quad stretch that you just did. This time, we use the same hand. Left hand to the left foot. Thumb on the big toe side. Now, as you pull the heel in, circle the hand around, elbow to the sky. And you might realize I didn't need to bring my knee in quite that much. Still got some room. Just kind of settle, find your pose, square off hips and shoulders as much as you can. If you want to go for the extra mermaid hold, you're trying to hook your elbow to the big toe side of the foot. Free hand overhead to reach back and grab hold of your left fingertips. Mermaid pose. A slow release of mermaid. To keep the balance and go all the way back to downward facing dog. Make it just as big of an entry on the second side. Left leg high, high, high. Lift, lift, lift. Pull the knee in towards your left elbow. Like an elevator, slide down to the wrist. And then walk the back leg back, back, back until your front heel and hip come about to one another, down to the forearms. As always, as much weight forward as back, left to right here. There is a sense of lift, of rise the whole time in pigeon pose, even though it can feel like a heavy sinking. So you're doing some work. Walk it back up to the hands. Pull the right knee a little bit more forward so you get a little more lift underneath your seat. Bring the power of the pose into the torso. Take the right arm up and back. Hold on to the big toe side of the foot. Rotate the hand, elbow up to the sky. Rotate the shoulders, the hips. Keep the belly strong, the torso strong, because this is a balancing pose for sure. If you're going for the mermaid grip, slide the crease of the elbow into the big toe. Left arm goes up and back to grab hold of the right fingertips. And then a slow release. Everyone all the way back to downward facing dog. Big stretch back. Come forward to plank. Lie flat down onto your belly. And then flip over onto your back. On your back, soles of the feet to your yoga mat. Set up for bridge pose. Reach your hands so they brush close to or right against your heels. And then let's make bookends. Bend at the elbow. Really push the upper arm bones down into the mat. Give the neck a healthy lift away from the yoga mat. And then lift your hips up. Lift the thighs. Squeeze your glutes a lot here. That power in the back side of the body makes it easier to see the lift, the softening, and the breath travel through energetically on the front side. You can change the hands in your bridge pose as you choose underneath the body. Grab the sides of the yoga mat. Stay here or more challenge, heel toe the feet together. And squiggle the feet out away from the hips so you go towards straighter legs. Maybe all the way straight in building bridge pose, but try to keep the hips lifted, lifted, lifted. Soles of the feet still flat on the ground. And then bring it back in. Release the hands and lower the hips. Stretch the arms overhead. Give yourself long, full body from fingertips down to your toes. Stay there for 2 more breaths. Reach. And then leg raises. You decide, sit on the hands or hands behind your head. Lift both feet up to the sky, legs up to the sky. Lower one leg down so your legs make like an L shape, and then lift it back up. Do the same with the second side. You can choose to keep going one side at a time or glue the feet together. Try to find that same low point, same high point each time. Keep mid to low back down towards the mat, fully engaged in the rectus abdominis, the front abdominal muscles. Slow down, slow back up. For even more challenge, if the hands are behind the head, you could also lift the head and shoulders off of the mat. Sitting on the hands definitely gives you more support. Let's find our way here in the leg lifts for about 20 more seconds. You've got this. Transform through this practice what you're capable of each and every moment. And hug the knees back into your chest. Let's turn back over onto our belly. Reach the hands towards your feet. All those belly down back bends in the beginning, same thought. This time for bow pose, try to hold on to your feet. Have the knees only as wide as the hips. Spread your toes to make the muscles in the calves more active. And then lift everything that you can up. Extend from your hips to the knees. Pull the shoulders more forward. I shouldn't say shoulders. Chest, front of the chest more forward. Look forward. And then exhale, lower it down. Child's pose, push back. Downward facing dog, tuck the toes, lift the hips. From downward facing dog, we'll move into up dog. Follow with me here. Lift up as high as you can to the toes, heels high, high, high. And then around in the upper back. Come forward like you're in plank pose. When you reach that big full cat back and shoulders right over the back of the wrist, can you change to the front of your feet? It's a lot to ask. Do it or don't. And then keeping the legs exactly as is, start to lower the hips more towards the wrist. As you do that, the back has to go in the opposite direction, back into extension. Lift, look forward, up dog. Squeeze the glutes. And then backtrack. Lift your legs. As you get into that round of the upper back, flip your feet. Go back to downward facing dog. Balance on your right hand, outer edge of the right foot. Stack the feet or step the left foot forward. Side plank, left arm to the sky. Lower the left hand back to downward facing dog. Keep the hips as much drawn up and back as you can. As you go to the outside edge of the left foot, again, stack the feet or step the right foot forward. Keep an angle from the shoulder to the back of the wrist and lift the right arm up. So you can always slide your feet out a little longer here if the shoulder is too far forward over the wrist. And then lower both hands back to the mat. Up dog one more time. Lift heels up towards the sky. Round, round, round through the back like cat back. Flip to the front of the feet. Legs just as strong, just as engaged as you start to lower the hips towards the mat. Only hands on top of the feet on the mat for full pose here of up dog. A little extra squeeze in the glutes. And then go right back, round in the shoulders. Flip the feet, downward facing dog. Lower your knees. Take your right leg up and back. Take the right knee to the outside of the left leg. Squeeze the heels in. Try to sit back on your heels. Pressure in the calves here. Lift the torso upright. It's balance work. With your left thigh on top, take your right hand and give yourself a pat on the back. Try to point the right elbow as much as you can up to the sky. Options. Left hand holds on to your right elbow. More challenging, take the hand, palm open, behind your back. Top elbow up, bottom elbow down. If the hands reach each other, clasp. If they don't, hold on to your shirt in between. Hold on to air in between. Release the bottom arm first, the top arm second. Come back to all fours. From here, it's left leg up and back. Cross your left knee to the outside of the right leg. Squeeze the legs together and sit back on your heels. This brings the right knee up. I'm not all the way down. I'm certainly holding weight to make this doable. Okay, right leg is on top. We're gonna make our left hand, give ourselves a pat on the back. Right hand can help that left elbow stay lifted. With that in place, take the right hand behind the back, palm open, and crawl up. Oh, wow, I got my fingertips, but I can't quite clasp. One side a little different than the other. Find where you are, give it a couple of breaths. And then I think that bottom elbow is the tricky one, that bottom hand. So lean a little bit forward to release the bottom arm safely first, and then the top arm. Crawl out, back to all fours. Downward facing dog. Right here, Adho Mukha Svanasana, stay with it. Come forward to plank, lie flat down onto your belly. One more time, turn over onto your back. Opportunity for a second back bend here. Belly up, back bend. Start with your bridge pose. Soles of the feet to the mat. Fingertips to brush right against your heels. Try as we did before. Lift your hips. Push down through your feet, shoulders, head. Stay in this form of the back bend, or take your hands right at your shoulders. Point the elbows up to the sky like we just did in the pose before. You want to be able to keep your elbows in your peripheral vision. And then we'll press through our hands, through the feet to lift the upper back and head off of the ground. Go for your upward facing bow. Elbows stay in the peripheral vision as you lift. I like to lift the heels, get a little more space, repress through the hands and upper body. Come safely out of your back bend. Give your knees a hug into the chest. I can never deny a transformation after I've done a back bend. It's the hardest class of poses. For me, it's going to take an hour of practice and work, patience on the mat to get there. Maybe you're the same, kind of take in those after effects. How can they create more leaven throughout this day? Take both knees over towards the right side in a supine twist. Bring the knees across the center. Lower them over to the second side. And then bring it back into the middle. Soles of the feet back down to the mat. Reach your right leg straight up towards the sky and hold on to the back of the leg for a stretch. Feel free to take the left leg all the way flat down against the mat to increase the lengthening in the bottom hip flexor as well. Lower the right leg down and switch to your second side, left leg up. Hold behind the thigh. Again, extend the right leg flat against the mat if not already. For those that want to add in that extra lengthening of the bottom hip flexor. Lower the left leg, reach the arms overhead. Again, that good morning stretch. Give it a couple of breaths. Any bits of unwinding movement that would feel good to you, add it in here. Maybe it's a return to a stretch we've already done. A safe inversion in your practice. Safely find cool down. Today, to close out the practice, I'm going to ask us to come to a seated position. You do not have to follow me. You could stay lying back on your mat should that suit you best right now. Using the mindset of Leaven, an actual physical rise in this last seat. Sit back on the heels or cross-legged, but gaze low, close the eyes. Can you rest the hands, palms up along the thighs? And take a few breaths to calm, to settle, maybe even to expand the length of the inhale and the exhale. Bring your attention awareness to your face. Relax the eyes behind the eyelids. Maybe even a little bit of a circling rub of the thumbs on the temples for a moment to release last bits of tension held there. Drop the jaw, drop the tongue from the roof of the mouth, flare the nostrils. A real softening of the face leading to a softening in the body. Remember, when you practice yoga, yoga on the mat, yoga off of your yoga mat, you are leaven, a pervasive influence that modifies something, that transforms it for the better. If you chose to lie back, take your time here to come back to a seat now. Then everyone palms together, thumbs to your sternum. Offering into yourself depth of gratitude for this practice. As we take the practice off the mat, let's sing the sound Om, transforming from one space into the next. Sing along, listen, or tune it out. Empty out your breath here. Deep breath in. Bow in fullest of gratitude again to yourself, each other, and for this practice. Namaste.